Hello everyone, I'm Santiago and today I'm gonna be testing Remnant 2 on the Steam Deck. So Unreal Engine 5 got quite a few updates and well, let me show you the settings first of all. So instead of using 800p, we're actually going to do 720p, 16:9. You're going to get bars at the top and bottom of the screen, unfortunately, but this is for performance reasons. Remember, this is an Unreal Engine 5 game. When it comes to upscaling, we got XeSS, none, FSR3 with frame generation if needed, and XeSS. So my advice here is XeSS performance. It looks significantly better in motion. And since we're targeting 30 frame generation, I tried it. It gets like 40 FPS, but the input lag, it feels worse than actual 30 FPS. So please, for the love of God, use XeSS on this one. On the graphics preset, there's now a potato setting. Not sure if this was here before, but I found it pretty funny. So effects and foliage on potato, the rest on low, because going below low, you lose all the shadows and it looks like it looks terrible. It's clearly potatoes for other type of systems, but in this case, going from low to potato on shadows, post-processing and view distance didn't make a performance difference for me, so I kept it like this. Foliage and effects though did make a difference. Then detail shadows disabled, FOV we keep it as default, and optimized performance in menus is on, because otherwise when you pause the game, I don't know, you're going to the inventory where you get like 20 FPS. Once you go back into the game, it will be hard locked to 20, and after like 5 seconds it will go back to the original frame rate. So make sure to keep this like that. So welcome to Remnant 2. As you can see, I'm in Ward 13. And with the settings we did, as you can see here, is close to 40, which is good. And while it's a low resolution, on the smaller screen it's more passable, to say it in some way. But I'm going to show you that later when I point the camera at the screen. But I need to show you more places. Only showing you this would be dishonest. So yeah. Personally, I'll just lock it to 30 in this case, but let's use the checkpoint and travel somewhere else, just because, again, this is not super demanding. So remember, performance XeSS, lowest, almost the lowest settings, potato on effects and foliage. And as you can see here, well, it's not pretty. Pretty obvious, if you ask me. So yeah, you're basically hard locked to the mid-20s when there's a lot of foliage. Just for the record, let me show you what happens if we decide to lower the settings to the lowest. Santiago, why did you put it on low instead of potato? Well, let me show you. So we're on potato, and instead of performance upscaler, we're using ultra performance. So the absolute lowest settings. And now the game looks way worse, but we're still dropping below 30. It's a little bit better. But again, in this area, good luck. It's not perfect. And honestly, without shadows, I don't know, it loses the charm completely. So it's closer to 30, yeah, but it looks a million times worse, and as soon as you enter combat, man. Oh yeah, and this is ultra performance XeSS, which in my opinion, that's way too much of an upscaling. Yeah, it's just, this is horrible. So again, what I recommend leaving on potato is probably effects, foliage, view distance. I mean, you can also do that just to get maybe 1 or 2 frames more. So yeah, we go back to performance XeSS, which is half 720p. And we get pretty similar performance. We were into 27 to 29, sometimes 30 FPS. But we had to use ultra performance XeSS, which is way lower of a resolution to performance. And performance XeSS is already a pretty low resolution at 720p, so yeah, I wouldn't say it's worth playing on Steam Deck. We're on a stress test here just because of the fact that we are in a foliage heavy area, but if you're playing the game, you're eventually going to get here. So let them kill me, so I go back. So my first test that I showed you this, it actually ran worse than what I showed you here. Not sure if the potato settings were actually a thing back then. The game got a huge amount of updates. So let's go into another area and see how it fares. Alright, so a different area of the game. It still has foliage. It has a good amount of lights that produce shadows. But as you can see, it's way more consistent than the actual level of before this one that was chock full of foliage. Which makes complete sense. Foliage is super heavy in most games, transparencies do that. But in here I love that we have multiple light sources. Huh. So in this part, Ward 13, sorry, Ward 11? I don't remember the name of the of the ward. And this place, as an example, are playable, but once you get to heavy foliage areas, good luck, comrade. 25 FPS. So let me show you how it looks on the smaller screen, since we're at 50% 720p using upscaling. So this is the absolute lowest that I would go with upscaling. But in the smaller screen, 7 inches is different, so let's judge that using a camera. Welcome back, we're now in handheld. Same section as before. And as I was telling you, on the smaller screen it's harder to notice that we're actually using performance XeSS, which is half 720p. Please do not use FSR3 on this game. Looks pixelated AF. Horrible experience in my opinion. And if you use frame generation in parts where you drop below 30, well, even playing at 30 with frame generation feels worse than actual 30 FPS just because of the input lag. If you're planning on using frame gen, my advice is to have at least a consistent 40 FPS. I think that would be the way to do it. Of course, you can disagree if you want to. I think that most people are going to dislike frame generation at that base frame rate because input lag. So that's not going to save us. So again, in my opinion, looks okay, it's passable, or whatever. I did it on purpose, so I go back to the fast traveling thing. So while it's loading, let's go here and enforce a frame rate limit. Not into the 40s, into the 30s. Because I mean, come on, let's be honest here. And of course, a bit more input lag because we locked it to 30 FPS. But it's a flat 30 in certain locations. But let's go to the stress test, which is the real test. That's why I think the game being marked as unsupported by Valve is a valid thing. Because this game is not marked as playable, it's marked as unsupported. And while some areas hit 30s pretty well with the settings that I showed you, there's many others that do not maintain 30s, not even close. And you're going to go through those areas, I mean, let's be honest. You buy the game to play it, or to have it on your library and collect dust, but most people to play them. And again, foliage heavy areas, this happens no matter how much you lower the resolution and settings. The Steam Deck OLED should have a more consistent experience, closer to 30, but in an area like this, I don't think even the OLED can do it. So after patches, is it better? Yeah, way less stutter. Great job on that, developers. And on some areas I can actually use balanced XeSS, but then when you get to places like this, well, it falls apart. It really does. But props to them for adding FSR3 frame generation and all that. Too bad FSR3 in this game looks horrible. But frame generation won't save you. Also, XeSS performs better than FSR3 so far, which really surprised me. Usually FSR performs better than XeSS. So would I recommend this on Steam Deck? No. Unless you have a powerful PC that actually can run this game. So, I don't know, maybe the levels don't run well, you can play them portably. Then if you want to play areas like this, go to your PC. I think it's unlikely that you're in that situation. And if you have a powerful PC, use Moonlight and stream this game from your computer locally to your Steam Deck. And you can play at 60 FPS if your other PC allows it. I'm probably going to do a video covering that soon. So yeah, thank you for watching and I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys, thanks for watching.